Hello and welcome to another episode of Back on Track Trains. Today we're going to talk about a standard gauge Lionel number 8 in red with cream trim. This is just a great little engine. All the lights work, as you can see, and it runs really well. There's a little bit of movement in it and up and down. Maybe there's an axle slightly askew or a wheel that's slightly out of round, but really great pre-war engine made from 1925 to 1932. Got this one just as it is. We'll take a closer look. So you can say this one's in pretty good shape. You know, it's that classic standard gauge 040. No leading wheels, no trailing wheels, just the 4 drive wheels. And I love that Lionel Corporation, New York, right there in the middle. And this train is patterned after a lot of the electric engines that were running in New York in the 1920s. It's a really complete train. There is some oxidation. There is a broken part on that lamp up top, and you can see that pantograph, which is what would have connected to the electrical wires in real life, has some oxidation. There's some paint chipping too, but overall just a really nice example of a pre-war engine. No problems with this one, putting this one on your layout and just making a run at it. You know, a couple of chips here and there, but it's got all the parts and all the pieces. I don't really see anything missing too much. The frame has the worst of the oxidation. You can see it right there. There's you know, if you wanted to take this apart and repaint it black, it's an easy fix to do. There's the reverse mechanism. So it's not an 8E, it's just an 8. So the reverse mechanism works like this. You can see how it works in this video. You just have to do it manually. So we're in forward here, or reverse. You could run this either way. And then a quick flip of the switch there and reapply power, and you're back going into another direction. There's great latches on either side, so you could decide to run this locomotive one way or the other. Again, so you can see the latches are all in good shape. Love those big, giant standard gauge wheels on this one. This one does have replacement wheels, which is great. And again, you can see it has that mark, the Lionel Corporation New York, Lionel Supermotor for standard track. It's got that nice wide stance. And there you can see the replacement wheels there. Let's take a look and see if we can see the brand. But, you know, most pre-war standard gauge have really bad wheels. The two different metals separate. Looks like the wiring might be all original, and it's really great. There's the reversing switch there from the underside, and everything moves really smoothly. But I don't see a lot of cracking in the wires. It's just really a nice, solid example, and maybe it was replaced at some point, but it does have those older style wires. But so there's the other underneath. Everything moves really smoothly, nothing getting too hung up, and it's just really clean underneath. I don't think this is a repaint. I think this is all original and it presents itself well. There's that chip in the light housing. You can see that again there, but just a really nice example. So let's take a look underneath. You know, again, it's a pretty simple thing to take apart. There's screws on either end, and you just, you know, take that screw off the end there. Make sure you don't lose it. You put it aside always. This end, it gets a little bit trickier. You do have to take the screw off the body there, and then for ease of operations, you're going to want to undo the reversing lever there. But again, this one moves really easily, and you just take it off, and then just take the body off the frame. You don't want to pull it too hard because the lights are connected to the wiring that's underneath in the motor. So you just want to make sure that if you pull it off that far, you don't want to pull it off too much further. Again, really clean underneath. The worst part is that oxidation on the frame, because this is all really, really clean up here. There's no signs of rust or anything like that. We'll take a look at the other side. You can see a little bit of surface rust on one of the wheels. All the wiring, again, looks really great. It's not very brittle, so it may have been replaced at one point, but certainly not recently. And all the brass that's underneath attached to the body looks like it's in really good shape. So again, overall, a really solid example of a Lionel number 8, a fairly common locomotive of its day at the price point that it was at. It's certainly not as rare as some of the large steam engines or even some of the dual-motored engines that you would see on the electrical style pre-war. So if you're looking to get into standard gauge, this is a fairly affordable locomotive to get into, and you know, pretty low maintenance. It's pretty standard stuff. So really, really good example of a nice pre-war locomotive if that's what you're looking to get into. Even though this is one of the smaller standard gauge locomotives made in its day, it can still pull a pretty good load. Here I have it pulling 2 freights and a caboose, really with no problem, and it looks just great. This is, I like to call this one a great Christmas tree train, just with the reds and the greens. Certainly a great way to get into standard gauge locomotives. This one pulls just fine and is a pleasure to run. Certainly hope you enjoyed seeing this video about Lionel's number 8 pre-war standard gauge engine. I've certainly enjoyed running it and learning about it. And if you want to learn more about Lionel trains in the pre-war era and the post-war era, please like and subscribe for a lot more videos coming from Back on Track Trains.